Hey guys, it's Mythology's Bot here. Just gonna go over Lower-Hab-Karl's kind of just break down his gear, his talents, all that kind of stuff. He won the poll. We even played him last night in the game. He does take a bit of finesse to use. I don't use him a ton, but you know that's just kind of, I like the other characters. I like playing Psyker a little bit more, but that doesn't mean this character isn't really good. So let's start off with the weapons real quick. So we have the shivs here, the Mark 1. For lack of a better word, the dump stat is mobility, but you already have so much mobility, you don't need more, right? You're already so agile as just a Hive Scum in general that you don't really need that extra mobility, right? Just not necessary. And then we have unyielding enemies, which are usually most bosses, and then crit chance on that. And the reason why we have crit chance on that is because of Flesh Terror, which gives us more bleed stacks on critical hit, and an uncanny strike on weak spot hit. That rending is just a very solid thing to have, right? So we'll go down one more. I like the Vigilant Autogun because I think it fills a certain niche for the Hive Scum. It allows you to attack long range and be fairly accurate, right? So mobility, like again, you're already Hive Scum, you move around a ton, you're fine, right? Then we have it spec towards flak armor, just because flak's a very common type of armor, and then unyielding, just because it can hit bosses if you need to. If you need to start hitting something in the face from a longer range and then engage closer range, that's a good thing to have. And I have Ghost on it. I really like Ghost because it's not hard to hit a weak spot with this weapon, right? It shoots twice. That second shot usually hits a head or something like that. And then Crucier Roulette. Just because when you drain out the clip, it gets more and more crit. Just fun little rifle, right? Very precise. For the talismans or the curios, a lot of toughness build. So I pretty much stack as much as I can into shields for this guy, right? And then we go down, then we probably have toughness regeneration because that just helps it get back faster. Combat agility, combat ability regeneration, have plenty of that, because you always want that ability to come back. You always need that to come back. And then damage resistance gunners, because those are probably going to be one of your biggest kind of HP sinks, I guess. Same with this one. I have some revive speed in there because when I do revive people, I want it to be quicker than normal, right? You don't want to be sitting there for too long, because that's exactly where you're in the most trouble, is when you're sitting there doing nothing, right? And then we'll go over to the last one. Same thing, another damage resistance to gunners. I would have probably one more, but I want that ability to res people quicker. So that's the reason why we have that. And then we'll go into his talents. So I have, in general, some kind of chem builds in here, but these are things I've noticed which have been fairly successful, at least for this build. Like I said, I've tested these out a bunch, and I think they work really well. That being said, somebody else could come up with something completely different and be very viable, right? So let's start at the top. We have Tertium Welcome, so you get more melee damage on the first hit. That's always really solid just to have. Precision Violence, that one I think is really mission critical, because you also hit a lot of weak points and you need that regeneration to keep going, right? Float Like a Butterfly, perfect blocks and successful dodges give us critical strikes. So just when you're moving around, you're generating critical strike, right? Sticky Hands, so this is just kind of nice to have, right? It's not necessary. There's plenty of other things you could probably take. I mean, I could probably do Bursts of Energy. That seems like pretty good. But I have Sticky Hands just because I enjoy it, right? I have the Blackout Grenades. I really like those ones because they regenerate. They're very solid at certain junctures. And solid to have. And then we have Gang Tough, so range damage and toughness damage reduction, just solid things to have. Regained Posture, so more stamina on successful dodge, so we're stacking more and more into that dodge, right? Nimble, so your dodge is a little farther, and your dodge time is increased as well. Slippery Customer, so when you're just moving around, when you're sliding, you gain melee attack immunity. That's amazing. Believe me, that's saved my life so many times. Tis but a scratch, so replenish 30% toughness at 3 takes after taking range damage, losing all toughness cancel effects. So usually what I'll do is when my toughness breaks, I'm gonna pop that ability. I'm gonna pop the ability that we have that will regenerate your shields instantly, and I'll always make sure that's on cooldown. Anarchist for more critical strike, right? Because we have already a little bit built in that just with the shivs themselves, right? Channel aggression, so we went down in the middle into rampage. Rampage is just a very solid melee blender, essentially. You just go nuts. Channel aggression, so heavy attacks give rending, so that's just really solid. Boiling blood, melee strikes against enemies and monsters, extending the damage rate. This really just helps when you're attacking single targets, right? And then we have pulverizing strikes to make sure we get some cleave in there too, right? And we'll go over to the chem side on this right side first, okay? So coated weaponry, melee strikes infect enemies with 1 step for chem toxins. So that means that our shivs are not only doing bleed, they're also doing chem damage as well. Then extra pouches just means we get an extra blitz charge. Nothing too big off of that one. Toxic Mania, base damage on chem and toxin infected, and we're critting all the time, right? And now we're stacking up base damage, and it's just base damage. It's amazing. It's really good. Pocket toxins, so now our blitzes explode with toxin, which is, I've seen that kill mobs straight up. It's great. Not only does it, and then replenish toughness when an enemy infected by chem toxin is killed by a melee attack. Also very easy to do too, right? So let's go back over the middle here. Light the wind, plus 15 dodge angle. That bottom part, I don't know what the actual angle means itself. I'm sure it's very important. But in addition, sprint dodging is available even when stamina is depleted. So that means you're still going to have that immunity there when you have no stamina, which is very important, right? Hive City Brawler, up to 20% range reduction depending on stamina, up to 20% melee depending on spent stamina. So spending stamina, you're constantly spending and gaining stamina, so you're going to gain something out of that net loss or something. Then we have Adrenaline Frenzy, so melee hits grant you a stack of adrenaline. Melee critical hits, it's going to +1. Not gaining will lose it. After 30 stacks, you gain Adrenaline Frenzy. It's a very good buff that you're already in melee doing the blender thing, right? So these ones I had to be a little bit more precise on which ones to choosing, because some of these ones will cancel out certain, like regular melee hits will grant no adrenaline stacks. That's nice, but I mean, I'm not going to hit weak spots every single time, right? So I want to keep that an ability. I want to keep generating those stacks, right? Stoked Raid, so we increase the duration of Adrenaline Frenzy to 20 seconds. I just like having that up more and more, right? Adrenaline Bound, so when you're active, you replenish 5% toughness per second. So you essentially kind of a tank, right? And then Adrenaline Smiter, so killing blows now gain +4 stacks. Elite killing blows gain +10. Non-killing blows get none. So you're already piercing things with rending like a crazy fool, right? So there's no reason why you can't just have more and more of that stacked on top of each other. So like I said, we'll go kind of up. We went up the top to the right, straight through the middle. We got a lot of these middle nodes. We want more critical because we already have bleeding and chem toxin on our shivs, right? We have our good old rampage. And then we have pretty much all the chem toxin builds over here, everything that's with that, and then we go straight down the middle and be kind of selective on what we're grabbing here. There's a lot of areas I could add extra points to this if I had them. There's a lot of talents in the Hive Scum that are very, very good, right? So we went over the weapons, the guns, the talismans, the talents, stim lab. Yeah, let's go to stim lab. So another good thing about the Hive Ganger is you have the stims. I pretty much spec this into getting that ability back as quick. So cooldown reduction, right? As much as I can do, right? And that stacks at Hypex. Melee kills give 75. It just makes it easier to come back. That's it. I pretty much just stacked into that. And there's plenty of things you could do with the toxin if you wanted to as well, right? So that's just kind of that. I mean, I could easily redo this and put this into something like strength or weapon attack speed or swaps. It doesn't really matter to me, right? I like the way this is set up because once my shield goes down, once my toughness goes down, I pop my rage ability if I need to, if it's up. Or I'll just be raging all the time. So we'll kind of go over a little bit of the gameplay. So if you can see this, this is a ghost right here. So we're going to see right there, there's a ghost. So it's very easy to hit heads, right? And it doesn't matter what head you're hitting, what kind of armor you're hitting, right? Very easy to be immune for range attacks for 1.2 seconds, which is a really large amount of time. So that's the reason why we have that. That's a really good weapon for hitting heads, very precise. You just have to wait until that mechanic reloads. So you can't... Sometimes the bullets won't load all the way in there, right? If you shoot this thing too fastly, it doesn't have... Too fast, it doesn't have time to load the extra bullets in there. So that's why I kind of have ghosts and I have crucian relay. So just every time you're spending something, you might get more and more crit, right? So then we also have our blitzes, so our stun storm grenades. You see that? There's the toxin on them right there. That's eating through them pretty quick, right? It didn't eat through all the way, but yeah, that's pretty deadly. Like, it just killed one shot a sniper from not even like a direct hit. Yeah, there's another one. See, yeah, it can damage weak enemies. I usually throw it at my feet, or if I see something that I don't like those guys, the crushers, I'll knock it at those guys, or maulers. Usually to help my teammates out, right? I don't want them getting hit by these guys. It's really bad. So we'll go over the attack profile. So we have a downward stab, a frontward stab. Those are both the heavy ones, and then just a blitz of this. Also, another thing I really like is a guarded strike on this one is like a really good, easy way to hit heads, right? Very good guarded strike. Very easy to do. And the reason why I really like these weapons, not only do they remind me some of the crucial... I like to play Dwarf Rogue and WoW and like EverQuest and all that kind of stuff, right? The reason why I really like them is the attack profile is very pokey. You're very easy to hit brains and heads. And even just without even the rage, you can see how much damage that's kind of doing in a visceral setting, right? You kind of got that side profile, so you can hit heads and arms and faces very easily. Okay, so we're going to hit Rampage. You guys are going to see kind of what that happens here in a little bit. Nothing too... It's just going to beef us up even harder, right? Let's see if we can get over here and get some meats. Yep, so you can constantly see those charges are building. Very easy to maintain this when you're in combat. And even when you stop, it's very easy to get back with a lot of your refresh abilities, right? See, I'm killing them faster than they spawn. That's pretty good. Even on Damnation, this would definitely function very well in Orc. I don't know how it would do in Havoc, the top level Havoc. A lot of my builds are probably not optimized for that in any way. I would like to test them, but I don't like the society of Havoc sometimes. I've seen a lot of negative, just general people being kind of jerks, right? And I'm protecting my mental sanity as much as I can. I don't care. I'd like that armor, but I don't need that armor, right? I'm still training on what I'm doing. And then we have this guy just to bring back... Let's kind of see how fast that comes back. Right, there it is. And sometimes I use that and I'm not aware of it, but like this Rampage ability maintains itself. It's crazy good. Yeah, anyways, I've seen a couple people have probably very similar builds to this. Like I said, I don't know what meta is anymore. I don't really focus on other people's builds. This is just stuff I've tested that I think that works, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much about Lower-Hab-Karl. I kind of have some little text lines with them too. But you'll see those pop up in game when I'm kind of playing with people. So, yeah, that's really about it. Let me know which one you guys want to see next. I think the other two choices were Lower-Hab-Karl and then Jason Solar. So we'll see, or not Lie Smith and Jason Solar. Jesus, I can't think of things very well right now. My brain's still up and kicking from last night, right? yeah, so that's pretty much Lower-Hab-Karl. Also, I forgot about the shivs. The shivs are really nice because of that. That damage, that poison. Oh, that dot's so good. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Hopefully seeing everybody in the game sometime here soon. And, yeah, thank you all. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.